Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome from the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong to everyone who's joined us from all over the world for this very special webinar today. I'm very honoured that we are joined by such a stellar panel who are directly involved in this fascinating discussion about the future of Hong Kong and Malaysia's trade and cultural relations. As you may well know, Malaysia and Hong Kong relations began in 1971. The Consul General of Malaysia was established in Hong Kong in July of that year. And since then, Malaysia and Hong Kong have benefited from the Comprehensive Agreement for the Avoidance of Double Tax, which was signed in 2012, and a free trade agreement and investment agreement between Hong Kong and Malaysia, and ASEAN, of which Malaysia is a part, which was finalised in 2017. These agreements, along with commitment from both the public and private sectors in both jurisdictions, have given an immensely and mutually advantageous platform for trade and economic relations to grow. As at 2021, Hong Kong and Malaysia had a balance of trade of $14.24 billion, which was a 10.8% increase as compared to the prior year. And according to official 2022 estimates by the Trade and Industry Department of Hong Kong, Malaysia is Hong Kong's 9th largest trading partner, the 3rd largest within ASEAN. And on the other hand, Hong Kong is the 5th largest trading partner of Malaysia in 2021 and is amongst the top 5 export destinations for Malaysian products, particularly for Malaysian electrical and electronics products, for which Hong Kong is the top market globally. Along with fellow Commonwealth jurisdictions Singapore, Hong Kong was among the top 3 FDI inflows contributing countries for Malaysia by the end of 2021. It's also interesting to note that the Hong Kong Stock Exchange has a large number of Malaysian companies listed. So the cultural relationship between Malaysia and Hong Kong is also durable, robust and lasting, along with the economic ties. Prior to COVID, over 350,000 Malaysians visited Hong Kong a year. It's not surprising that Hong Kong is also home to around 15,000 Malaysians, and thousands of Hong Kong citizens have found their second home in Malaysia as well. The commonalities of legal system, language, ethnic heritage, in the case of some demographics, has made the two nations a beautiful parallel of strong economies with a dynamic population, global mindset, and an appetite for technological innovation. So I'd now like to pass the floor to our Secretary General, Andrew Wells, to continue the conversation, explain the housekeeping rules for today, and move the webinar forward. Thank you, Andrew. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Julia. Many thanks for the introduction to the background, the economic and trade background to this important event, Malaysia, Hong Kong and the Commonwealth, Old Connections, Future Business Opportunities, a carefully selected title. My name is Andrew Wells and I'm Secretary General of the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong. Our keynote speaker today is Mr. Muzambli Markam, the Consul General of Malaysia in Hong Kong and Macau. Mr. Muzambli has had a career in the Malaysian Foreign Service as varied as it is diverse. He has worked in maritime affairs with the Americas, in protocol, and as First Secretary in Prague. An expert in ASEAN matters, Mr. Muzambli has served both in the East Asia Division of the Foreign Service and as the Deputy Director General of the ASEAN-Malaysia National Secretariat. He took up his present post half a year ago, but by then Mr. Muzambli was already, one may say, a China expert, having been Consul General in Guangzhou and holding an MBA from the Xiamen University in Malaysia. Our second speaker is Mr. Yazrin Syakhairi Mahlan, Trade Commissioner of MATRADE, Malaysia's National Export Promotion Agency. Like the Consul General, Yazrin has already had a varied number of important portfolios, building up expertise in ASEAN, Oceania, the Transport and Logistics section, and the European Union. In his immediately previous post, based in Vietnam, he covered MATRADE's activities in Cambodia and Laos, as well as in Vietnam itself. The Commonwealth Chamber is delighted to continue its cooperation with MATRADE, which began shortly after we were established in 2021. Our third speaker, Janice Chew, is the head of JC Legal since its inception. It's a well-known niche firm, legal firm, which advises extensively on cross-border issues, including commercial law, dispute resolution, regulatory compliance, M&A, joint ventures, and commercial litigation. Janice is very well placed to address this seminar because she's had 15 years of actual working experience in Malaysia and Hong Kong and is well connected with both legal and corporate professionals in Greater China, as well as ASEAN. Her clients range from government agencies through listed companies, multinationals, financial corporations, and award-winning startups in fintech and crypto. Janice's skills have been publicly recognized. She's one of the LexisNexis 40 Under 40 in 2022 last year, and a finalist for Women's Lawyer of the Year and Private Practitioner of the Year North Asia 2023 this year. That's ALB Win. Janice, interestingly, is also involved in promoting Malaysia as a country for a second home, that's where she has hers. She's currently chairman of the Malaysian Association of Hong Kong and is a frequent speaker on public occasions. We are very happy indeed that you could join us today, Janice. So, a very warm welcome to all our speakers. Before we begin, allow me at Julia's urging to add a quick word on procedural housekeeping. After the Consul General's initial keynote address, we'll pause for a moment because the CG has a very important meeting to attend in about half an hour. He's kindly agreed to take some questions before he leaves. And we will then go back to our other panelists, each of whom will have roughly 8 minutes or so to make their presentations, and we'll move then to Q&A. So without any further preliminaries, may I invite Mr. Muzambli Markam, Consul General of Malaysia to Hong Kong and Macau, to take the virtual floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, our moderator for this session. Ms. Julia Charlton, Chairperson of the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce, Hong Kong. Representative from MATRADE, who is also our panelist for this session, Ms. Janice Chew. Our ladies and gentlemen, participants of webinar on Malaysia, Hong Kong, and the Commonwealth, titled All Connection, Future Business Opportunities. First and foremost, I would like to record my deep appreciation to the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce, Hong Kong, and also MATRADE for inviting me to say a few words at this webinar. I just want to take this opportunity to share that the current chair of the Commonwealth Foundation, Datuk Sudha Dewi, is a Malaysian and a good friend, and I had the opportunity to work with her before. This event is a joint effort between the Consul General of Malaysia in Hong Kong and the Chambers as part of our continuous initiative to promote bilateral trade and investment within Malaysia, Hong Kong, and the Commonwealth. My colleague from the trade section, Yazrin, at the Consul General or MATRADE, will be sharing more about why you should consider Malaysia as your preferred business partner. In addition, we will be hearing from a successful lawyer, as I mentioned just now, my moderator already mentioned, Ms. Janice Chew, sharing about her experience in running her firm located in Malaysia and Hong Kong. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of economic relations, Malaysia has always been right up there on the global stage and very much plugged into the global supply chain. Therefore, it is only natural that Malaysia has close economic ties with Hong Kong. Bilateral trade between Malaysia and Hong Kong has been a stellar year in 2022. Total trade basically increased by almost 13% to a record of $25.6 billion compared to 2021, the highest ever achievement recorded. Hong Kong remained an important market for Malaysia, ranking our 9th biggest trading partner. As of 31st December 2021, Malaysian investment in Hong Kong was valued at slightly over 31 billion, which is equivalent to $4 billion. Malaysia was the 21st largest investor in various sectors, with names such as Lee Shing Hong, GoCo Group, Public Plaza, Public Bank, Plaza Premium Group, Maybank, Old Town, and many more. I would also include the Malaysian government as one of the investors here. With the opening of Hong Kong border and resumption of business activities across the city, I'm confident that the strong cooperation between business communities of Malaysia and Hong Kong will even enhance. It is delighted to see the movement of people between both Hong Kong and Malaysia have increased tremendously, with businessmen, tourists, and family members resume with the rapid return to normalcy, the air connectivity to pre-pandemic level. The Consul General of Malaysia, through my colleague from MATRADE, will continue to support initiatives to promote cooperation in trade and investment in Hong Kong and Macau. Do contact MATRADE today to learn how we can link you up with reputable suppliers and business partners from Malaysia, which are internationally accredited and export ready. I would like to again wish all the participants in today's session a fruitful webinar ahead. Ramadan Karim to all the Muslims who will be celebrating fasting month in the coming days. With that, I would like to say thank you and terima kasih. I hope I'll be able to give you a satisfactory answer to any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Consul General, for that succinct overview. I have a question I'd like to put to you before you leave us. That is a general question, and if I may, a very quick follow-up. The general question is this: Malaysia is, by Hong Kong standards, a big place. Which places, which states in Malaysia, or perhaps which sectors in Malaysia, do you think have the best opportunities for Hong Kong companies, including SMEs and investors, in the coming years? So that's a very broad question. And then I have also a specific follow-up, which is how can this comes from someone in the legal industry. So it says for the CG. So it's about a question about APEC cards. How can we gain more transparency and urgency of issuing APEC cards? I don't think that's a very fair question to ask you, but I'll ask it anyway, just in case.
Okay. All right. Okay. The first question. I hail from the state of Perak. Definitely, I will promote Perak. I will say Perak is the best place for our Hong Kong investors or any investors, foreign investors, to invest in. Okay, that's a little bit biased from my end. But to be honest, to be fair, I would say that overall, everywhere in Malaysia is actually a good place to invest. Of course, no doubt there are specific areas which would be more preferable because of the connectivity, the infrastructure, availability of connectivity, maritime, air, land transport. So I would narrow down. Johor would be one of them. The Klang Valley area, which cover Kuala Lumpur and Selangor. All right. Perak is coming up. They have a lot of land. All right. And then, of course, Penang, or that is on the Peninsula Malaysia. On the west coast of Peninsula Malaysia, you also have Pahang, which have specific areas of industrial area provided by the state government, supported by the federal government. Now, on east coast, or rather East Malaysia, we have Sabah Sarawak on the island of Borneo. Both these states have their own unique attraction, and depending on the sectors, they will be ideally located or for investors to look at opportunities in both those states, right? In terms of the areas segments that you mentioned, which are the sectors we are looking at? Well, Malaysia is moving away from labor-intensive industry. We are looking more towards capital-intensive, value-added, upskill industry. So in that sense, we are moving into a digital investment concept where you can be physically anywhere to enjoy investment incentive. Therefore, location is not an issue. Nevertheless, I think the National Investment Aspiration, or NIA, launched last year with one industry such as electronics and pharmaceutical, especially pharmaceutical, mostly located in Penang and Klang Valley. So digital economy is more spread out, but high value components, semiconductor, pharmaceutical would be more on the Peninsula Malaysia to the western side, covering the states of Penang, maybe a Kedah, because they also have the Kulim High Tech Park, and then Perak coming down south to Johor. I hope that answers your questions. The second question, APEC, on APEC card, actually, I more often than not receive this question. And I can see my colleague from MATRADE, Yazrin, laughing similarly. We try to accommodate as much as possible for Malaysians who are applying for APEC. But nonetheless, one must remember, we must get security vetting or the approval from other countries before we can actually issue the card. I mean, we can unilaterally issue the APEC card, but without the approval from the other APEC member country, the card will not be useful. There will be no point having that card. Therefore, sometimes the red tape does not lie only on the Malaysian side, but our other partners within the APEC sector members. All right.
Thank you very much indeed, CG. That was extremely concise tour de horizon of where to go in Malaysia and to do what. And also the APEC question, which I emphasize I didn't ask. It was asked by somebody else, but quite interesting to me too. I think part of the thing perhaps now is that post-COVID, things are taking a little bit longer. I'm in the process of renewal. But be that as it may, thanks again very much for taking the time to appear on this webinar. I'm sorry you can't stay for the rest of it, but I realize how very busy you are, and we will definitely remain in contact. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. Have a productive, enjoyable event.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. With that, I now turn to Yazrin to begin his presentation for us. Yazrin, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrew Wells, for the introduction. Mr. Muzambli Markam, Consul General of Malaysia, Ms. Julia Charlton, Chairperson of the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce, fellow speakers, Ms. Janice, ladies and gentlemen. I've been given 8 minutes or maybe less to try my best to share why Malaysia should be your preferred business partner. This is just an outline of my presentation today. So technically, this is a photo of the Kuala Lumpur, which is the Garden City of Light, we call it. And this is also located in Malaysia. This is a place called Perhentian Island, located in the east coast of the peninsula of Malaysia. Okay, so technically this round up all the general facts about Malaysia. And I just wish to highlight a point whereby Malaysia is the multicultural country, where we have a lot of races comprised Malay, Indians, Chinese, Kadazan, Iban, and whatnot. And Malay language is the official language of the country. Nevertheless, English is widely spoken, and Cantonese and Mandarins are widely spoken as well. This is just to share the evolution of the country's economy from the agriculture and mining activities back in the 60s and 70s, moving into manufacturing and diversification in the 80s and in the millennial. And currently, we are more focusing on the services to become a service-oriented economy, as well as on the high-tech manufacturing. This is due to the fact that we are home to 30 million population, so we have to focus more into services and high-tech manufacturing rather. Okay, this is just a snapshot of how Malaysia is a strong supporter of globalization and the trade that have drive the country's economy from only 3 billion USD in the 70s to 660 billion recorded last year. So within this short period of time, I can only highlight on several potential areas of cooperation. Of course, these are not only limited to all this, but the first one is on the renewable energy. So I guess most of us are already aware that Hong Kong is moving into the 2050 carbon neutrality target. And the renewable energy has been a big agenda of the Hong Kong SAR. And therefore, we can see and in the news, CLP and Hong Kong Electric have announced 2 upcoming offshore wind farm projects. So this is a niche segment which Malaysian companies have capabilities in, and we have built up our capabilities from 100 years of experience in the oil and gas sectors. As you can see, the 4 segmentation of these offshore wind farm projects, we have capabilities in the fabrication of the foundation as well as building the substations. So I would like to call upon Hong Kong companies that have the tendency to be in the sector to contact us, and we can link you up with the capable Malaysian companies to work on this segment. Next up, Malaysia is a halal hub. We are known to have the capabilities throughout the supply chain of halal, and halal is nowadays no longer relevant to only the religion. It's a lifestyle, and we can see a lot of demand from the matured economies that wanted halal because of its safety and quality of the products and services along the halal supply chain. We have the capability to partner the Hong Kong enterprises in this segment as well. And with all the supports given in the government sectors in this industry, we are looking forward to partner with Hong Kong to capitalize, or rather to target on the 7 trillion global halal market that is huge. Next up is on Islamic finance, as Hong Kong is one of the top Islamic top financial center of the world. So Malaysia also has the niche capability in Islamic banking and sukuk. As you can see in the diagram above, there's a lot of untapped opportunities that we should look into, whereby more than 600 million Muslim population still without a banking account, and more than 2 billion population throughout the world is still without banking account. So there's a huge opportunity in Islamic banking. And the bottom diagram describes how Malaysia is still the top sukuk issuance of the world. So if there is any enterprise or firm in Hong Kong that would like to see how to bring this niche capability into Hong Kong, to attract the clients and investors from other parts of the world, from the West Asia, GCC, Middle East and whatnot, do contact us. Okay, this is just a summary of some of the investment opportunities in Malaysia. We have another agency located in Guangzhou called MIDA, Malaysia Investment Development Authority, which look after the foreign direct investment into Malaysia. So this is just a snapshot of the promoted sectors for investment into Malaysia. As highlighted by Mr. Consul General, the top right part of the screen shows the National Investment Aspiration, which was recently launched, focusing on several sectors which we intend to further intensify in terms of improving the policy as well as the implementation of the industry. So the wave one will comprise the electronic industries, pharmaceutical and digital economy, and coming up 2 additional sectors which are chemicals and aerospace. So if you have an intention to explore the investment opportunity in Malaysia, do contact us and we can always link you up with our colleagues based in MIDA. So this is just to share with you the Consul General of Malaysia Trade Section, or MATRADE. We are the National Export Promotion Agency of Malaysia. So this is a photo of our headquarters in Kuala Lumpur, and next to the building is the largest exhibition center in Malaysia called MATRADE. So if you have planned to travel to Malaysia for business, for leisure, do let us know if we can recommend you to some activities or places that you can be. Okay, what we do is we link the Malaysian suppliers with the companies that would like to source for products and services. We assist the Malaysian companies by issuing the market intelligence reports for them to access the global market, and we facilitate the Malaysian companies that are having their presence in overseas. So contact our team today if you have anything that you wish to get support or get assistance. And this is my last slide, just to promote the biggest halal international event that will be happening in Malaysia in September, or MIHAS. This is the 19th edition. And you can either participate as an exhibitor to exhibit your product and services. You can also participate as an importer or buyer, whereby participating as an importer is free of charge. And we will also bear the cost of your accommodation and transport in Malaysia, should you are looking for products and services under the scope of halal. With that, thank you again, everyone. Terima kasih. Monggo sai.
Thank you very much, Yazrin, for that very comprehensive, concise and precise description of the opportunities. Can I now ask Ms. Janice Chew to take the virtual floor?
So thank you. So I try to use 8 minutes to share my story from Malaysia to Hong Kong. So I qualified in Malaysia in the year of 2007. So I was being offered as a foreign lawyer in Hong Kong around I moved to Hong Kong around 2010. So I moved to Hong Kong about 13 years ago. So after a few years in a foreign law firm, so I started to realize that, because Hong Kong and Malaysia, we are all common law system. So I was thinking, why don't I get myself qualified in Hong Kong as well? So that's why I took this overseas lawyer qualification exam. So I got qualified in 2014. So after 2014, I joined a local law firm in Hong Kong around 3 years. So after that, I realized, apart from a law firm, perhaps I should also try to do business. What kind of business, right? So I was thinking, since we are in a service industry, I'm providing service. So I'm thinking about corporate secretary service and also company formation. That's why I set up JC Corporate in the year of 2015. So there I start my entrepreneurship. So after that, around 2018, I established a legal firm in Hong Kong. So basically, JC Legal in Hong Kong is a full service firm. So around 2019, I believe a lot of people here remember 2019 because of COVID as well. So we first established the corporate office in KL. And after that, around 2021, because some of our foreign lawyers, they decided to move back to UK. So that's why we came to an idea that why don't we, expand our business into UK as well. And we had a London office as well in 2023, which is this year. So we have 2 colleagues right now based in UK and 1 colleague based in Malaysia right now. So a lot of people ask me, why Malaysia? It's not a question because I'm Malaysian. So that's why I choose Malaysia. So if you think about the benefits of Malaysia, there are a lot. It's not because I'm hard selling Malaysia, because it's also the language, as mentioned by Mr. Yazrin just now. We speak English, we speak Mandarin, we speak Cantonese. So language is definitely not a problem. And also you can also access to high quality of labor in a lower cost in Malaysia. And then, of course, a lot of people might know in Malaysia, we are multicultural. We have Malay, we have Chinese, and we have Indian. So multicultural. And then last but not least, we are common law system as well. So the other things, the factors that encourage me to expand my business out of Hong Kong is the funds called BUD funds. So this is a dedicated funds on branding, upgrading and domestic sales. So basically it's a funds which is launched by the Hong Kong government and disbursed by the Hong Kong Productivity Council. So what they do is they encourage the SME in Hong Kong to expand their business in ASEAN or in Europe as well. So what they do is within a year, all the investment funds that you spend in the first year, the Hong Kong government will actually subsidize, reimburse you 50%, capped in 7 million Hong Kong dollar. So I will encourage you to explore more on these BUD funds. And then you can see the picture here. We are a very small firm. These are our colleagues in Malaysia and in Hong Kong. So I was being told to share about the tips to succeed in Hong Kong and Malaysia. I can't say I'm successful, but I would say there are a few tips I think it's very important while you're expanding your business, not just in Malaysia, but in any of the country. I think first and foremost would be multicultural sensitivity, because if you go to any of the country, you need to know their culture, that's for sure. Especially like in Malaysia, we have multicultural. So I think you should know about the culture in that particular country before you expand your business. The second thing, which I think is very, very useful, would be very proactive to build networks. It's like me, because we build our networks in Hong Kong and we know lots of people in Hong Kong, but doesn't mean that, when I go back to Malaysia, I will be very successful, because different market, different jurisdiction, different people that you need to know. So you have to put yourself out there to know more people. And then what we always do is we don't follow the traditional footsteps. So if you come to our office, you can see like we are not a traditional law firm. So I always tell my colleagues to think out of the box. Don't, bound by traditional boundaries. These are something that we always remind ourselves. And also, even though we are in a traditional industry, which is a legal industry, we try to stay innovative because we want to be competitive. These are the few things I think it's very, very important for us to, go into other countries. And then there are also some case study that I will share with you, like from Malaysia to Hong Kong, from Hong Kong to Malaysia as well. So one of our clients is the leading durian trader in Malaysia. They have been trying very hard to come to Hong Kong. So we actually help them to set up a company in Hong Kong and a secure employment visa. Some people will think that, hey, employment visa must be easy, but this is the most challenging employment visa we have ever worked in, because there are special circumstances that we need to think out of the box and provide solutions for the clients. So these are the things that we help Malaysia. So that means it's inbound and outbound service to the clients. And then the other thing is from another case study is Hong Kong to Malaysia. So nowadays, there are lots of SME in order to cut costs. They would like to set up back office is either in Malaysia, in Thailand, or in Philippines. So there is one digital marketing agency we helped before to build a back office in Malaysia. So what we help them to do is to set up a company in Malaysia, and then to help them in the corporate and payroll services. And also because you need a resident director in Malaysia. So we help to provide a nominee director services as well in Malaysia. And then there is another one, which is an individual when they are doing a probate in Hong Kong and they encounter an issue, which is the registrations of marriage is actually done in Malaysia. And then because of certain issues, the marriage certificate is not accepted in the probate registries of Hong Kong. So we actually help them to get a certified true copy before the consular office of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Putrajaya. And then we get that true copy marriage certificate to get legalized as well. So these are some of the example how we provide a cross-border service to our clients. And of course, there are so many useful resources that you can, refer to before you expand your business into Malaysia. So of course, Consulate General of Malaysia in Hong Kong and also MATRADE, my friend Mr. Yazrin give a very good background and also information on how you expand and what area they are looking for in Malaysia. And these two government agencies, it's a very good place for you to refer to. And of course, Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce of Hong Kong. And then Malaysia Chamber of Commerce, me and Mr. Yazrin is actually in the Trade and Services subcommittee. So they actually might give you a lot of contacts if you want to go into Malaysia. So, and also we have Malaysia Associations of Hong Kong, as I mentioned, because Malaysia is a multicultural country. So if you want to know about the food, you want to know about the culture, I think Malaysia Associations of Hong Kong is a good place for you to explore. And then, of course, the BUD funds that I mentioned just now, you can go to the Hong Kong PC, Hong Kong Productivity Council. They might give you a lot of information on how you can apply the BUD funds. And then in terms of Malaysia, so you can go to MATRADE, of course, and then MIDA, the Inward Investment, Malaysia Investment Development Authority, and then we have Digital Economy Corporations, Invest KL, and also Hong Kong Trade Development Council.
Thank you very much indeed, Janice, for that highly personalized and interesting presentation. So maybe I could move to one or two of these questions now. Let me address the first one, if I may, to Yazrin. And it is this: you presented a lot of facts and figures, but in your experience, Hong Kong, with its small size, small number of people, why does it continue to be a key trading partner for Malaysia? And what's the secret? What do you think is the secret of the bond that continues between us economically?
Okay, thank you, Andrew. So good question. So I believe there are many reasons to answer the questions. So in the interest of time, perhaps I can point out three major points. Number one is the clear rules and regulations set by the Hong Kong government. So Hong Kong is known as a destination whereby the rules and regulations are clearly stipulated. As long as you do your homework, you'll get your products and services in. Number two, I would say the efficiency of the Hong Kong port. It is its turnaround time to settle all the goods clearance, fantastic. And number three, perhaps I can highlight the point on the proximity of Hong Kong to Malaysia. And being close to Malaysia and a gateway to the other markets such as the Greater Bay Area market, the mainland China market, as well as the Western markets. Therefore, Hong Kong is a preferred destination for Malaysia or Malaysian companies to do trade. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Yazrin. I have a question for Janice, which is a typical question that we ask ourselves in Hong Kong. We always promote ourselves as the super connector. Never mind who started that expression. Do you think that this super connector status, which of course is also in a sense the role the Commonwealth plays too, will help to maintain our attractiveness, Hong Kong's attractiveness from your perspective? Whether it is the usual arbitration role, which comes to mind straight away and in which you have a lot of direct experience, or more generally, in terms of connecting the outside world, including Malaysia, with the Greater Bay Area and the Belt and Road initiatives in the mainland.
Thank you, Andrew. I just want to apologize for just now. There is an IT problem. So anyway, so I still think that, I think Hong Kong, of course, is a super connector for the dispute resolutions as well. Because nowadays, if you look at some research, I think Hong Kong is still the top 3 in terms of arbitrations when they come to dispute resolutions hub. So and also common law system that Hong Kong is having right now. So I think, still the same as a superconnector, but at the same time, when you look at the Greater Bay Area, so right now there are lots of lawyers when they are qualified in Hong Kong. They're also thinking or considering of taking the Greater Bay Area legal qualification exam. So by doing that, actually we will, provide more cross-border kind of legal advice to the public as well, not just Hong Kong itself. We can also, kind of practice in China as well, in the Greater Bay Area. So,
Thank you. I think that's a good assessment, upbeat assessment. And turning back to Yazrin, if you're not experienced, as our panelists are, in investment in Malaysia, from a Hong Kong corporate, from a Hong Kong SME or corporate perspective, is it best to go into Malaysia by your own, or are there advantages in partnering up with a Malaysian counterpart? What would you feel about that?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. So the answer to that question is it depends on which industry or which segment that you are focusing in. Certain segment related to the government sectors, government procurement, for instance, certain strategic sector, like for example, defense or maybe education, you need a local partner for guiding you into going into the industry. It is the same practice that we usually have when we want to enter any other market. However, if you are looking into a more consumer-based industry or the general-based industry, FMCG and so on, there's no harm for you to set up your wholly owned company. It is allowed in Malaysia, and you can technically do all the activities within your resources. Thank you.
That's very helpful. Thank you. I think we can make time for maybe 2 or 3 more questions, just about. Can I ask whether our chairperson, Julia, has any questions she'd like to put to this distinguished group?
Yes, I mean, I've absolutely loved the discussion, and I love Malaysia. I think it's upbeat, I think it's beautiful, and I think Asians and Malaysians are fantastic communicators. Janice and Yazrin, I wanted to ask you, Yazrin, if you get many inquiries about Islamic finance, in a sort of Hong Kong connection, because obviously that's a great expertise of Malaysia.
You mean Islamic finance?
Yes.
Sorry, Julia, can you repeat your questions
Yes,
again?
do you get many inquiries about Islamic finance?
In Hong Kong?
Generally? Yeah.
We do have inquiries on that, sometime, but not often. Yeah, but I think there are certain firms, like certain huge, big law firm in Malaysia that practice financial Islamic law. So so we do have inquiries sometime in Hong Kong about that.
Right. Do you think that's an area where Hong Kong should be promoting its expertise more, with your Malaysian connections and so on?
Yeah.
Is it okay if I just add on to that?
Of course.
Yeah. Please, yes.
Yeah, I think Janice is right. And on top of that, in Hong Kong, pretty much the 2 biggest segments in Islamic finance are Islamic banking and sukuk. And I think in 2007, Hong Kong has introduced the framework on Islamic banking, whereby between 2013 until 2017, there were 3 sukuk that were issued by the Hong Kong government. Not the retail sukuk, only issued by the Hong Kong government. However, as you can see in the world today, in Hong Kong today, there has been very minimal movement in terms of Islamic banking, as well as sukuk new development or project has been announced. However, we feel that as one of the world's financial center, Islamic banking and sukuk are the segments that should be offered by Hong Kong. And it needs more promotion in terms of attracting the interests of the investors as well as clients from all over the world.
Thank you, Yazrin.
Yes,
maybe we could.
just a
Sorry,
quick
Julia.
follow-up, if I may.
Of course,
Yazrin, do you think that Hong Kong could be doing more to introduce Islamic law into the Hong Kong legal framework in this regard?
I'm sorry, Julia. Is it on
Do you think
Islamic?
Hong Kong could be doing
Yeah.
more to introduce Islamic law into the Hong Kong legal framework to facilitate this in Hong Kong?
Oh, yeah. I think the Islamic legal framework, it's not something that you should look into something end to end. It can be segmentized into certain areas where we are focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
It is also something that we can apply in terms of the big chunk of Islamic finance. We shouldn't look at the end-to-end implementation, but we should always segmentize the areas that we are focusing on.
Yeah.
It can always plug and play depending on what we are looking at.
Thank you.
Perhaps we'll see movement now that our chief executive has visited the Middle East. There may be new initiatives as a result of that, I hope. Yes, well, that was an excellent question. Let's just try and slip in a couple more before we end. For Janice, you were kind enough in your presentation to mention the Commonwealth Chamber of Commerce Hong Kong as a source to which to go. Thank you for that. The Commonwealth Advantage, we always talk about this, and it's a real thing. It means that you actually, other things being equal, it's better to do business within the Commonwealth. Now, that's down to things like common law and use of English. Do you see that as a genuine Malaysia, and obviously Hong Kong isn't a member of the Commonwealth itself, but we have our chamber here. Do you see that as a genuine advantage? Do you see the Commonwealth Advantage as providing a real benefit in that sense?
Yes. I mean, apart from the common law that we are, keep on mentioning, I think the other things, I think there is a common law advantage, Commonwealth Advantage is the mutual recognitions of the professional qualification. For instance, I'm qualified in Hong Kong, so I can get, exemptions, and I can qualify in UK as well. These are the things that I think it's very convenient and advantage for legal services provider. So if I can get qualified in UK, so in a way easier for me to set up an office there as well. And also because the Brexit and also the Northern Powerhouse strategy in UK, so a lot of SME or businesses in UK, they are actually looking outside UK as well. So so I will see there are lots of cross-border legal services going forward. So I believe Julia will agree with what I say. So it's more like, it's just not, we will have a lot of cross-border in the future in terms of legal services. And right now, if you're entering into the contract and there is a governing law, so there is also, they will pick the governing law, which is a common law, of course. It's easier for them to enforce the contract, or, if there is dispute resolutions, clause, I think definitely common law is an advantage for them. Yeah.
Okay, very final question. I'd like to put this to all the panelists, but there may not be time for that. But if I could pick one panelist, I'm going to pick Janice simply because, to be honest, she's the young entrepreneurial representative here, apart, of course, from Julia. Where would you hope and see your business, whether it's your law practice or the other things that you do, if we invited you back here and you accepted in, let's say, 3 years from now?
I would say I will continue to grow the team, not just of course, I hope that I can grow the back office team in Malaysia, and then also continue to expand the business into different countries as well. So this is one of the things that I'm thinking for the next 3 years. So because we already have an office in UK, I hope that we can develop the market in UK as well. So basically in Europe, we have UK, and, in Asia, we have Malaysia, and in Hong Kong. So it's more like, hopefully not just big firm can have global offices. Small firm like us, we can do that as well. That's my goal.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm afraid that now, in the interest of time, we have overrun a bit, and my apologies. We need to bring this webinar to a conclusion. I think there's a lot of material which will give us scope for future events, maybe physical as well as virtual. For people who have their questions unanswered, do write to us, and we can forward your views or queries to our speakers. I'd like to repeat my thanks to all of the speakers, including the Consul General in his absence, for their thorough replies and their patience today. I, like Julia, am a very strong fan of Malaysia, both in business terms and culturally. And I don't need convincing, but I think if I did, I'd be even more convinced that the financial, corporate and cultural opportunities in Malaysia for us in Hong Kong, and perhaps vice versa, are going to continue to grow, especially now that we seem to have passed the COVID crisis. I'd like to thank all our members and guests for signing up for this event, and do keep an eye on our website for future functions. We've got a few coming up, quite a few coming up. Let us know if you think that you have other suitable topics which we should address in future events. I'd now like to hand the virtual floor back to our chairman, Julia Charlton, to make some concluding remarks. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thanks for your great moderating. And don't worry, guys, I'm going to be quick. So I've really enjoyed this webinar about Hong Kong and Malaysia trade relations. I think it's provided many valuable insights. And Janice, I loved your perspective and your energy about expanding overseas. And I think that's a useful inspiration for lots of lawyers who are looking at what they're going to do in the future. So thank you very much. And thank you very much, Yazrin, for your great showcasing of trade and all the statistics that you've given, which are wonderful. It was also great to hear from the CG. And so it's clear from these discussions that there are many, many opportunities within multiple sectors of trade. And I'm sure that we can build on these in future webinars. And thank you all very, very much. So thank you all, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye. Bye.